So here's a crazy thought. The world has literally never been richer than it is right now. But what if I told you that at the exact same time, it's also incredibly fragile, teetering on the edge of a massive financial crisis? It sounds like a paradox, right? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today, based on a huge new report from the McKinsey Global Institute. Let's get into it.
It all starts with this number. And honestly, it's a number that's almost hard to wrap your head around. $600 trillion. That's the best estimate for total global wealth right now. I mean, think about that. By any measure you can think of, humanity is richer than it's ever been. And on the surface, that sounds amazing, right? But, and this is a big but, hidden inside that staggering figure is a pretty dangerous secret.
See, the problem, according to this report, is that for decades now, our collective wealth, all that money, it's been growing way, way faster than the actual real economy that's supposed to support it. You know, the GDP, the value of all the stuff we actually make and the services we provide. So what we've ended up with is this incredibly top-heavy, unbalanced global economy. The report uses a great analogy. It's like we've been busy building the fancy penthouse suites on a skyscraper before we've even finished laying the foundation. And that, right there, leads to the most important question of all. I mean, this isn't some abstract economic theory. This is about your retirement account, your job security, the value of your house. It's about your ability to get a loan. So if this whole massive structure is just wobbling on these financial stilts, what happens if they start to give way?
Okay, so let's get into it. To really understand what's at stake here, we need to get to the very heart of this paradox. We're going to break down exactly what this imbalance means, because really, it could define our financial future for a generation to come. All right, now this right here is probably the single most important idea in this whole explainer. It's this concept of paper wealth. So what is it? Well, it's the wealth you get when asset prices, things like stocks and real estate, climb way higher and faster than the actual economy. It's the kind of wealth that looks fantastic on your brokerage statement, but, and here's the kicker, it isn't backed by new, real investment in the economy. And that's the point. It makes us feel prosperous, but that prosperity is actually super fragile. And check this out. To really put this in perspective, look at all the household wealth we've gained since the year 2000. A whopping 36% of it, more than a third, is this paper wealth. Now, another 40% is just general inflation. So what does that leave? It leaves less than 30%, less than a third, coming from actual new investment in things that create real long-term value. Things like building new factories, developing new tech, or upgrading our infrastructure.
And of course, there's the other side of this coin. How did we fuel this massive paper expansion? Well, we took on mountains of debt. Get this, for every single dollar of new investment that went into the real economy over the last 25 years, the world created almost $2 of new debt. Just think about that ratio. That's the engine that has pushed our financial system so far out ahead of the real one.
So what you end up with is an economy that's basically propped up by paper wealth and completely fueled by debt. And as you can imagine, this creates a whole cascade of other imbalances that just add to the fragility of the entire system. I mean, this crazy borrowing has pushed global debt to 2.6 times the entire world's economic output. That's a staggering number. But it's not just about debt. Because this whole boom is tied to asset prices, it has thrown gasoline on the fire of wealth inequality. The top 1% now hold at least 20% of all global wealth. And in the US, that number is a mind-blowing 35%. You see the cycle here? It's pretty vicious. Debt fuels asset bubbles. The bubbles make the wealthy even wealthier. And that creates this deeply interconnected web of risk for everyone else.
So all of this, it brings us to a huge crossroads. The report actually models out 4 potential paths for the global economy over the next decade. You can think of them as 4 completely different futures. And the one we end up on, well, it's going to have massive implications for every single one of us. And here's the thing, only one of them is actually a good outcome.
Okay, so let's walk through these. The best case scenario, the one we're all hoping for, is called productivity acceleration. This is where we basically invest our way back to health, and the real economy finally catches up. Then you've got 2 kind of meh scenarios. One is sustained inflation, where prices stay high and just slowly eat away at our real wealth. The other is a return to the past era of super low growth, where all these risks just keep bubbling under the surface. And then there's the worst case scenario, the balance sheet reset. And that's exactly what it sounds like. A sudden, nasty market crash that triggers a deep recession and just evaporates trillions of dollars in wealth.
Now, to make this really hit home, let's put some numbers on it for the United States. In that best case scenario, that productivity acceleration path, the average American's wealth could go up by $65,000 per person by 2033. That's what real sustainable growth actually looks like. But, and this is the scary part, in that worst case balance sheet reset scenario, the outcome is just devastating. The average American could see their wealth drop by $95,000 per person. We're not talking about a little market correction here. This is a fundamental, painful blow to household wealth that could mean years of real hardship. So here's the bottom line. When you put those two numbers together, the best path and the worst path, you're looking at a potential swing of $160,000 per person. That is what's hanging in the balance right now. That is the choice we're facing. So the big question is, how do we make sure we get on that good path and avoid the bad one? Well, the good news is it's not a total mystery. The report actually lays out a blueprint, a clear, if, incredibly challenging prescription for how to rebalance the global economy. You can kind of think of it as a global to-do list. Each of the world's big economic players gets a specific and, frankly, very difficult job. First up, the United States. You guys need to save more and borrow less. Step 2, the Eurozone. You need to invest more to close this huge competitiveness gap. And step 3, China. You've got to consume more, which means shifting your whole economic model. And what's wild is that, essentially, each of these big economic regions has to do the one thing it's historically been really bad at. So there you have it. That's the plan. But this brings us to the final and most critical question of all. We know what we need to do. The prescription is right there for a healthier, more balanced global economy. But as we all know, having a plan and actually doing it, well, those are two very, very different things. So, what should you be watching for? Well, these are the key swing factors that are going to decide which future we get. In the US, keep an eye on government spending and corporate profits. In Europe, it's all about whether they can close that investment gap. And in China, it's about whether they can actually get their own people to spend more. And look, we're not just spectators in this game. As citizens, as consumers, our choices, our voices, they really can influence the policies that will steer us down the right path. It's kind of up to all of us to demand action. And really, that's where we have to leave it. The analysis is crystal clear. Our global economy is like a beautiful skyscraper built on shaky stilts. The stakes couldn't be higher, and we actually know how to reinforce the foundation. So the final question really isn't about economics at all. It's about something much harder: political will and global cooperation. We have the blueprint. The only question left is, do we have the will to build it?